Today we're going to start our winter birch tree watercolor. A birch tree usually grows up north where it's cold, and it looks like this. It's white and it has a little black on its bark. It stands straight up, nice and tall. Some are thicker, some are thinner. Notice the one in the foreground on the right hand side. It touches the top of the paper and it goes all the way down to the bottom of the paper. On the left is the ones in the middle ground. They're a little bit smaller, but they still touch the top of the paper. In the background are the teeny tiny ones that are far away and up near the horizon line. You guys are going to look at this and remember this when you are adding your masking tape. Masking tape is a good way to keep the watercolor off of the white paper so they still show up white like a birch tree. So first write your name and your class code. Attached to the side of your table I have put some masking tape. You're going to start to just rip and stick masking tape just like I have. I know this video is taken sideways, so you're going to have to use your imagination, but make sure that your paper is tall and standing in front of you. To create the bumpy bark, you're going to take a piece and rip it in half, and then stick it on either side of the straight edge. Because trees have rough bark on the sides, they're not smooth like a palm tree. Make sure you have one large one that touches the top of your paper, one medium one, and one small one that is up a little bit higher than the rest to give it the illusion that it's on the background. When you're done ripping the bark, you can start to rip some branches like this. If you need more tape, just raise your hand and I will bring you over another strip and stick it to the side of your table. The end of part 1 should look like this. So on day 3, we're going to rip off the masking tape and draw in details and finish our artwork. Last week we left off with a painting. This week, this is what it's going to look like when it's finished. So I like to start at the top and make a pile of masking tape that I ripped off. Oops, no big deal. I'll go back and use some tape and fix that later. You have to be really careful not to pull off the paper with the masking tape. Sometimes I like to go from the bottom and pull up as well, and kind of hold my finger under the paper where I'm ripping. Don't forget to get all those little branches. Oops, I ripped off a little bit more paper, but like I said, I'm going to show you guys how to fix that in a minute. The glue stick is how you fix all those little pieces that have been ripped off. When you're done gluing all those little pieces that have fallen off, find a little piece of tape that you have from your pile and stick it on the back to fix that rip. Then make sure you have a black crayon. And we're going to create the bark of the birch tree that looks like this. You can see there's lines and some knots in the tree. So with a very light touch, make sure you add a shadow on both sides of the tree. Also, at the bottom of the branch is the shadow, because the sun in the sky is hitting the top to make the highlight. So make sure you just hit the bottom of the branch with a light dusting of black crayon. This one's cut off, so I'm going to make the top with an oval. Also, pay attention to where the tree is touching the ground. There will be more shadows where the tree is touching the ground as well. So add some more light black to that. It looks like the tree that I'm working on last, all the way to the right, is also chopped down a little bit, so I added more shadows. There wasn't enough shadow, so I'm going to keep adding some more. Because it's at sunset, you can tell by the sky, so I'm going to add more shadows and then use a harder line to add some bark. So pressing down with your crayon harder, use the same color to add some lines to make it look like a birch tree. You can see that there's tiny birch trees all the way in the background. So with a Sharpie, not a crayon, make some trees all the way in the background coming out of the horizon line. Remember, the horizon line is where the sky touches the land. Make sure that your tree trunks are thicker than the branches so it looks like a tree. Go all the way across the horizon line. If you have time, you can add some dead grass by the base of your birch trees as well. And there we go, we have a successful 3D looking landscape of a forest of birch trees at winter time. Great job!